So then continuing on through here, once we've done our discovery and we've brought in our certificates, we go ahead and we start to see, what the product brings to the table, how we can start to help you manage your certificates and get a good visibility into the environment. That's when these graphs and reports start to populate. But before I go there, I'm going to just go to a specific certificate and show that. This would be a specific certificate view. So when we bring in certificates, we can see the entire chain of trust for that certificate. We're able to manage the certificate directly from here. And one important thing to note is this is all an administrator's view. This is kind of part one of the product. Most folks look towards an end goal of automating these things and integrating with their service catalogs, whether it be a ServiceNow or a BMC Remedy or Jira Atlassian, that type of thing. And we do have native integrations for all of those, and we can help PKI administrators get out of the day-to-day management of certificates and to an end user enablement piece. And I'll show that in just a bit. But this is from more of an administrator's view. So from an administrator, they'd be able to come in here, they'd be able to do these functions from this aspect, and then you can wrap role-based access controls around all these functions to decide what your end users can or cannot do. So we see all the standard functions we'd expect to be able to do with a certificate here, whether it be to delete the certificate, download the certificate and key, and then when we do download the certificate and key, we have the option to bring it down in multiple different methods. Whether that be a PEM file, a DER file, PKCS, JKS, we can bring it down, download that in whichever method you choose to bring it down so that you can go and manually import it if you choose to do so. We also have the ability to, regenerate or renew a certificate from here or revoke it. And when we look at something like a regeneration, we see all the standard options we would expect when regenerating a certificate or creating a certificate. We can choose to have the certificate renew automatically, and we can set the threshold for when that will be renewing, whether that be 1 day, 10 days, 30 days, however you decide to do it for your organization's use. Same for regeneration if you're looking to, regenerate the entire certificate and key pair. We can choose, where we're generating that from. We can choose how we get the CSR. So we can either act on your behalf and generate a CSR for you. We can upload a CSR manually. If you do have an HSM in your environment, we can interact with that HSM and have it generate the CSR for us, or we can get CSRs directly from the endpoints that we're integrated with. Then, the rest of this is going to be pretty standard of what you would see. We can set our security threat footprint here as to, what we want these certificates to have for security capabilities, what the length of validity for this certificate is going to be. And we can go ahead and we can regenerate the certificate and make a new certificate. When we do that, what we wind up with is with multiples of that certificate. And these can be set to be cleaned up automatically over a period of time. But we maintain a history of these certificates for two reasons. One, in the case of a need for rollback, in order to roll back a certificate, we keep it here so we can do so. And then alternatively, we also keep it here for auditing reasons. If you have a specific audit reason around having to have your certificates remain in place. We will maintain a history of this certificate so we can go back and see the previous iterations of this particular certificate. And you can go to each of these and manage those individually. We really focus on that single pane of glass, being able to do everything from a centralized point of view without having to log into multiple portals. So the next thing we see in the certificate view here is we can actually go ahead and see all the places that the certificate is currently in use. This gives us a complete map of the certificate, lets us know when we're going to be doing any functions with the certificate, where else the certificate is currently being used. And then, these are expandable or collapsible as necessary. So, if we decide that we no longer want to have the certificate on this Avi connector, we can go through and delete that certificate off of there. We can also add additional connectors if we have, additional things that come into this load balance farm. We can come through and add load balancers or add servers and add different connectors to the certificate and then push that certificate out to those endpoints. So that we have the certificate wherever we need it. As you can see, when we do these certificate functions, there's a couple different options here. We can either push to all devices or we can push to a specific device. And when we do that, we're going to get options for approval of the push, and then we're also going to get the implement. So this is typically going to be pushing to a device itself and then doing the binding of that certificate to the endpoint. So in the case of an F5, this has already been pushed to the F5 appliance. Now it's just a matter of implementing it to the VIP that we want it attached to. In these cases, these are looking for approval to even push to the appliance themselves. In a case of an IIS, it might be that it would be approval to push to the server itself, and then the implement would be binding it to IIS, or alternatively attaching it to a vhost and Apache, etc.